Hey, hey Facebook. Just want to give it a quick second. Hey Facebook, this is again Rich Fontaine with Daily Motivation, 365 days of doing something consistently so you can master and be better at your crafts. And again, if I don't ever shout you out, it's just sometimes I just can't see you, but again, I appreciate you taking your time to watch this out of your busy day, and hopefully you get some inspiration out of it. And if this does touch you in some type of way, please like, please share, and definitely please comment. So the question I want to ask is, what do you do when you get in a rut? When you get in a rut, when everything just seems mundane, when you're trying but you don't see things shifting for you, or you're putting in work but things keep seeming like you're hitting a brick wall, or you just hit a glass ceiling. What do you do when things start to feel a little bit more mundane and regular and you get yourself in a rut? What I've done in my own journey is, and many I think women could attest to this, I think when women get in a rut, they make a shift or a change. What do you mean a shift or a change, Rich? What I mean is they change something up. They reinvent themselves. Many times they might change their hair, their makeup, or type of clothing. They reinvent themselves. And that's my advice for you, is to reinvent yourself. If you find yourself you keep hitting the wall, everything's the same every single day, you're trying but things seem to shift, that means where you are mentally, physically, emotionally has reached its peak. That's all it really means. It's reached its peak. You've done it so many times that you kind of know it already. Or you've done it a certain way where that's the plateau. If anybody ever works out, when you exercise, your body gets used to a certain exercise and it stops developing, it stops growing. And the same thing for the mind. If you do the same things every single day, especially work, when you have a 9-to-5 job, that can really kill your creativity because you're doing something mundane every single day. So it's always good to reinvent yourself. Reinvent the way, first mentally, reinvent the way you're thinking. So, Albert Einstein says the same thinking that caused the problem cannot be the same thinking that will solve it. So whenever you hit a mental block, it's time to shift your thinking. It's time to go more deep. It's time to start removing ideas that do not serve you and mindsets that do not serve you. So it's time to reinvent the way you think. Because you might be wearing a certain hat that, yes, it'll take you to a certain point. But after that, that hat you're wearing will cap you. And so it's time to shift off from one hat into another. Same thing with the body. If you're doing an exercise over and over again, or same type of exercises over and over again, it's good to shift it up, change it up, reinvent your body by reinventing the exercise and what you do with it, reinventing the food that you eat. Sometimes, just for maybe a month or 30 days, Jazz and I will go vegan, or we'll say no carbs this month or this week, or just do something that makes a shift in what we're doing on a regular basis that makes the change. Because one thing I used to tell her all the time is you want to shock the body. Because once when you shock the body, even when you shock the mind, let somebody have something tragic happens that completely shifts them. But sometimes that opens up their minds for better thinking and better strategies. So it always comes down to reinventing who you are as not just a human being, but really as a human being, because you've reached a plateau. You've reached a peak. And when things are mundane and things are happening over and over again, all that means is you've reached a certain peak. So it's time to make a shift. So that's one, is to make a mental shift, to make a physical shift, and also make a spiritual shift. Because even some people that just change their hair, or they move to a different place, or they shift jobs, they still have that same gnawing feeling that things are just not right yet. Things are just not there yet. Because they haven't made the shift in the soul, spiritually. And sometimes your belief systems, the way you think about yourself, your own self-image, has to adjust. How you view the world, how you view other people has to shift, because sometimes we literally cap ourselves. We put a cap on ourselves and then we're hitting against the wall, hitting against the wall, hitting against the wall. Everything seems the same and mundane because we haven't made the shifts mentally, spiritually, and physically. So whenever you're in a rut, whenever you feel like you can't make the breakthrough and you're hitting that wall, all it means is there's a certain hat you're wearing, that hat led you already to a certain point and it was great, but it's time to take that hat off and put a new hat on. It's time to make a shift. It's time to change the way you think. It's time to change the way you do things. Because you may be doing something on an everyday basis. I would change it up. I would say, okay, what shifts can I make? What can I add? Or what kind of mindset can I add? Or what kind of spirituality can I add or remove from my daily tasks that no longer serve me? That no longer serve me. Because there's certain things happening in your life that just no longer serves you. And the only way to make the shift is to move out of those things that you're doing every day. To make the change. To reinvent yourself. Every time you reach the rut, you should reinvent yourself. And some people, they get so caught up. Well, I've done this so many times. This is who I am. It's not who you are. It's who you've been so far. But doesn't mean you can't elevate and grow. And the only way to elevate and grow is to make a shift, a change at some point in your life. There's something that you're doing over and over again that served you to a certain point, but no longer serve you. I remember I was talking to my wife the other day, and we were talking about certain things, and I was like, well, there's certain things you just gotta shift. And she was like, well, who I became or who I am has got us so far and has been doing good for us. And I was like, you're right. And so have I. But the both of us have reached a cap. That in order for us to elevate and grow from where we are, it's like the snake. He has to shed his old skin to gain the new skin. The butterfly has to get the caterpillar has to go into cocoon to become the butterfly. So in order to make that shift to the upper new level that you want to do, and you want to have, and who you want to be, you have to make a shift, either mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, or all three. Because that's the only way. Who you are will only get you so far. But once you make that shift, you can become greater by making a certain change of thinking, a certain change of being, what you're emitting, the feelings you have, the person you were being at that time, and how you are physically, the things you daily do in your task. You make a shift in there, I promise you'll see a shift in results. Again, this is Rich Fontaine. You could agree with me or not agree with me, but either way, I feel this was a very successful conversation. Love is love. I appreciate all of you. 365 days, we're not stopping. We're going to keep going. Do this every single day because why not? And because you always want to push. No matter what, you want to push and be the best version of yourself. This is why I do these lives, because I had to make a shift. You hit a certain rut, you make a change. You hit a rut, you make a change. And life is about change. It's not about being stagnant. Everything changes. It's the reason why the desks in second grade are not the same size as the desks in third grade, because you're supposed to grow. Love is love. Y'all have a beautiful night.